Hello everyone, welcome to my first installment on how to draw video game characters. I hope that you guys will enjoy the content that I make for this, and that it's helpful with just generally allowing you to be able to draw certain characters that you felt like you couldn't draw before. So it's going to be a mini series of just drawing all sorts of different kinds of characters. We're going to try and ease ourselves into easier to draw characters, and then we might kind of go a bit more into the intermediate and an expert. These videos are just there to help guide you into drawing. It can be still applied to anyone who's using traditional mediums too. So if you're using a standard pencil or a pen, or preferably pencil, because then you can erase lines and such if you need to. Effectively, you can apply whatever it is I'm doing digitally to your own traditional medium, whatever that is. Feel free to grab a pen or pencil, some paper, and join me in trying to draw this particular character that we're going to start off with. As the title of the video suggests, we're going to be drawing ourselves a Kirby, and the reason why I've chosen this character is I think he's a very simple character, one of the most simplest characters you can draw. So I think he's a really nice kind of introduction to drawing a video game character. He's very cute as well, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. I think what's kind of cool about Kirby too is that he has like different powers and abilities. I'm using the standard Kirby as reference, and I'll keep this up on screen too as I talk to you about how to draw him. But generally speaking, he does have different forms, so if you wanted to change him up and give him like a headdress of some kind, or even make your own, you could do that. You can have a lot of fun with this character, because he is like lots of different kinds of characters effectively, just because of his different abilities. Just from a visual sense, it's pretty cool. Let's break him down, shall we? We're going to have a look at his shapes. The reason also I picked him is that he is a character that consists of literally circular shapes. So effectively he is ovals and he is just curves. You'll notice this every time that I draw. When I map out a character's pose or anything to do with the character, it's always been constructed in circles. So let's do a little bit of a breakdown. We have a circle, of course. This is actually something that's worth practicing a little bit more. I draw them quite quickly, and the reason for that is that I've been so used to drawing circles, and I've been drawing for a very long period of time already, that it comes naturally for me. And it may not come naturally for you, and that's completely fine, but it's worth practicing. And don't be too concerned about them being imperfect either. Like, some of my circles are not even perfect circles. Like, look at that one, that doesn't even look like a circle. But like, something that roughly looks like a circle will definitely help you out. In fact, if you want to change shape, you can do that. That kind of looks like a Kirby already. So yeah, with time, the more you do this, the more you can get the hang of drawing circles, and once you've done that, that will help you out a great deal. So just keep doing that and practicing just drawing them. Out of all the shapes, I think the circle is probably the easiest to draw, because once you've got the muscle memory down for it, you can just draw so many of them. If you can't get it right the first time, just keep going with it and just keep practicing, put the time into the practice, and you will eventually get it right. As with anything, with art, you have to put the time into it, you have to keep being consistent with what it is that you're learning, and just keep going with it. Okay, so the next part is his feet. His feet is probably maybe the hardest part of him, because they are more triangular than they are round, even though that in this position of the reference on the side there, he does look like he has like circular feet. But he does have a bit of a triangular shape the more you look at other references of him. It's not a flat out oval for feet, it's actually got a bit of free dimension to them. My advice is to kind of practice this shape. Try and do it consistently all the time. Again, it's like repetition. You have to keep going, keep practicing, and eventually you'll get the right shape for his feet. With art, most characters are constructed in shapes, so this is really good practice in itself. And like I say, Kirby's quite a simple character, so we're not worrying about too much about like anatomy and limbs necessarily. He is just a bundle of circular and triangular shapes, slightly triangular shapes. The shape could be akin to drawing a piece of cheese or a slice of pizza, and it could be, the shape could be equivalent to a piece of cake. Nice bit of cake. Of course, I don't know how to draw cake, so but regardless, sometimes it helps to think about the shape itself and what it resembles to you, and it can help you remember that shape in future. And of course, we have his eyes, which we did in the first example briefly. They are basically ovals. They are still circular and curvy, but they're just like a squished circle. What I did there was add a highlight. If you want, you could just draw a little happy face there to imply that it's a face, and it can kind of help you see that it is actually a character. Even though he doesn't have his body yet, it's his face. You can just keep doing that for fun. But generally speaking, try and practice getting the muscle memory down for the oval shape for his eyes. Always look at the reference too, like this is why I have the reference on the side there for you to refer to as well. I never ever draw a character without a reference, because I can't remember everything a character looks like. Like, I don't know what his design is, especially if it's a character I don't know. Generally speaking, it helps to have a reference at all times, so you can just be able to refer to it and make sure that everything is accurate when you draw the character. So I know this can be quite difficult for some of you. I know that a lot of people tend to say draw this oval, but then they end up drawing a smaller oval like that. That's okay, but just try and keep in mind that in the reference, Kirby's eyes are equal. Like they are pretty much the same shape as each other and are symmetrical, so try and make the shape as accurate as possible with the right height and the right size, which again comes with practice, but don't worry if you can't do it as quickly as I can right now. Just keep practicing and you'll eventually get it. Like, the thing is about art is that you do have a lot of you do need to practice on these shapes or whatever it is that you're doing. It helps to learn how to do circles and ovals. I use them quite frequently in my work, so like I say, it comes naturally for me, and I've been doing it for many years, but I'm pretty certain that you can do it too. You just have to just keep going and keep just repeating the shape over and over until you get it. Learning art is just full of repetition. But just keep doing that, like just have a full paper of you just drawing circles and ovals and just retraining that hand to be able to draw such things. So with that, we will attempt to put those shapes together to make the Kirby character. In this case, we are going to draw the circle that we did before. Draw a couple of circles here, maybe slightly ovals. More oval than flat out circles really, but they're a bit thicker than your standard oval like we were drawing with the eyes earlier. And then his feet. Now, another little tip to help you make sure that the face is properly aligned is to draw a line in the middle. Try and draw it in the middle as much as possible. I'm not being very accurate with my symmetry here. Sometimes it helps to erase the line a little bit so that you've got it a little bit more perfect in the middle and you're not confusing it with the previous line you drew. And then draw another line that goes like this. Again, try and get it roughly down so it's kind of symmetrical and in the middle. Now, the reason why I do this, and I do this a lot with faces especially, is to make sure that the eyes and mouth are properly aligned to each other, because in the reference you can see that the eyes are definitely the same shape and the mouth is consistently in the middle, and there is a certain gap between the eyes themselves. It just helps for me anyway to know exactly where to put the eyes without it maybe going too far to the left here or too far to the right there, or even if the eyes themselves are too big or small on either side. In fact, if you put another line above like this, this can also help you with making sure that the eyes are not too big or too small. Because if you make sure that you draw the oval to the bottom and the top of this line, they should be the same height. Now we're going to draw the eye oval, and like I say, make sure that the top and bottom of the line is hit when you draw this oval, that they're actually touching each other. And then we're going to do the same over here too. Now, that's too far apart. That's an issue that I've realised myself, that I've drawn them too far apart, and also the eye is actually not long enough. I've actually could do with erasing this all again. This is the thing with me, I do a lot of trial and error when I draw, and even I can make mistakes, and that's something I just wanted to emphasise here. Mistakes can happen, and that's okay. You've got an eraser, just erase it and you'll be okay. So yeah, again, let's just try again with this. Draw Kirby's eyes again, bring them a bit closer together this time. And if you still feel like that the eyes are not right, just keep going, just keep trying again. Trial and error is key here. You can never get anything done the first time, so even I can't get things right the first time, and that's okay. Now feel free to put a little circle, a little oval in the corner of the eye here. And then draw his little smile. Again, try and keep it centre according to this line here. And the fact that it's kind of literally in between the eyes as well. Next, we are going to just refine the shapes of his hands here, because his arms, or hands, whatever you want to call them, they're actually a little bit more pointier than that. So using the shape to guide you, you can just make them slightly more pointier. And just wrap it round like this. This is the point where you can start deleting the lines you put down. So I'm going to delete this circular shape here. Clean up everything, including the guidelines we put down. So now we got ourselves a roughly drawn Kirby. He's very rough, he's in the sketching stage. We can refine him further by just using a pencil still. We can still go over the lines. If they're too light in my case, you can go over it again and just refine the shapes a little further. I've even got little gaps here that could do with filling in. If you think that the drawing isn't accurate enough, you can still effectively edit everything as you go along, but you have a base effectively to work from now. Like, this is the starting point of the character, and you can literally build on top of this, erase the line if you think that circle isn't big enough or high enough, or like the feet are not as big or as pointy as you want them to be. It's literally your art style too. Like, feel free to do whatever you want to make this individual for you. But I'm going to go ahead and refine this and make the edits necessary to make him look a bit better. So what I'm actually doing here, just to touch on it, maybe we can go a bit further into this method at a later date in another video, but I'm doing something called cross-hatching, and that's to help shade the eyes. Basically what I'm doing is that I'm starting from a very light shading, as you can see. I'm going very lightly with the pencil. And then once I have the main shading down, I actually go a little harder, using the same kind of like short stroke technique. The cross-hatching, I am constantly always with the pencil on the paper. I'm not kind of like lifting the pencil to do a stroke or anything like that. I am effectively having the pencil constantly on the paper and just doing very light strokes. And this may depend on your pencil though, if it's traditional. In my case this is digital and I'm able to layer this no problem at all. But if you're using a standard pencil and you're using, say, a HB or even a like a harder pencil like an H or something, you may not be able to achieve the same kind of dark cross-hatching like I'm achieving here. But if you got yourself some B pencils, you can get yourself tinner pencils that will allow you to go darker with your cross-hatching and shading, which goes from, I think, HB to 6B usually. I think that's the standard for softer pencils in a tin that you can get. It will allow you to go darker with your lines and your shading. So at this point I'm actually erasing the sides of the eye a little bit so I can make them a little bit more oval shape and accurate to the actual reference I've got on the side there, because I realised that his eyes are a little bit more thinner and not as big and bulgy. So I'm just going out of my way to just edit it and even refine the line around his eye a little bit more. Being digital art though, normally I would have used the free transform tool to make it slimmer and just make the corrections that I need to make, because this is the beauty of digital art, is that you can use the free transform tool and, you know, deform the eye to be exactly the way you want it to be. But because I want to keep it accurate to you guys using a normal pencil and traditional mediums, I won't be doing that. So just to kind of a heads up for that, even though that I am doing this digitally, this can still apply to you. I'm erasing it like you would have erased it with an eraser. So always refer to the reference if you're stuck and you need guidance. Never feel like that you should stick to just where you're going specifically with the drawing. It helps to always look at the drawing, the reference that you have given yourself, and make sure that everything is accurate. If it doesn't look right, then just correct it. I know it's easier said than done, but it's part of the practice at the end of the day and part of the learning process. So don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. This is where practice comes in and helps a great deal if you're starting out drawing. If you haven't drawn for the first time, this can be very, very tricky. And like I say, a lot of it is muscle memory. So if you do the first steps of the video and you keep doing it for maybe even a good week, you might just start seeing a difference and notice that you're actually doing a really good job in remembering how to do this and its shapes and develop the muscle memory for it. Feel free to turn the canvas around to help you. And I say canvas, it could be a piece of paper. I'm using the term canvas because that's what you use the term for in digital work. So feel free to turn around the piece of paper or your canvas, whatever it is that you're working on, to help you better get accurate results. I know that I find it's quite helpful for me to get the lines down better if I turn it round. I don't know why it is. I think it's just that I'm better at certain angles at drawing certain lines, so it's really up to you whether or not you do this, but I find it incredibly helpful to just turn it round. You're never stuck to the upright position, and if it comes naturally, feel free to turn it round and make it easier on yourself to complete the work that you're doing. Now I'm going to go and finish it off with his cheeks. It's something I actually forgot to add to this drawing, believe it or not. So I'm just going to add a few more ovals to his cheek area here. And it may not look right, and that's okay. Like, even I can't draw Kirby straight up all the time. Especially when I don't have my free transform tool. Like, I'm so used to having that being a digital artist, so it's a very difficult thing for me to get accurately. In fact, I'd say that his face for me is actually a bit too big. Not everything's going to be perfect on the first try either, but I hope that you guys have learnt something from this experience. I hope that you're gaining something from the video in some way. To finish things up, I guess I could just give you a little example of how you can use the crosshair approach that I given earlier in the video, where basically you can effectively have your Kirby doing lots of different kinds of poses. So what's really cool about this crosshair is that you can have Kirby look up, look down. It will help you kind of figure out exactly what pose and you want him to be in. You want to mix things up a bit and not let it be like this sort of standard looking at you sort of pose. So effectively in this case we can have him look up. So we draw the middle line, looking a little bit more to the side. As you can see, there's more space here, so the line implies that his face is more, in the middle of his face is more here now than like right in the middle like we did in the previous drawing. And then we can just put ourselves another line like that, so we can effectively, you can already kind of tell from the positioning of the lines here that it looks like he's looking up already. So if we just like very quickly draw some eyes in, it looks like he's looking up, right? So it's a very cool and easy way of making a character look a certain direction using this sort of crosshair line approach for the head. And this can also apply for characters, like human characters or other characters that you're drawing, not necessarily just Kirby. So if we just very quickly draw some feet, and then maybe have his hands here. Then we have effectively drawn Kirby looking up, which is pretty awesome. And like I say, you can be really creative with this. You can maybe give him his usual headdresses and hats. You can do all sorts with this little guy. Like, do whatever you want. Don't know what I'm doing with this. Looks like a bit of a flame with like some sort of cloud, or I don't know, like something fluffy. But again, like, this is me not referring to reference and not really paying too much attention to that because I don't have a reference. In terms of his hats, like, I think I was probably thinking more of his, like, I don't know how it looks. This is the trouble. This is why having reference is so important. But like, he does have like a flame headdress, doesn't he? Either way, you can do whatever you want, and that's what's cool about Kirby, because he is literally a little guy who eats things and turns into whatever it is that he eats. So you can definitely have a lot of fun with this character and make your own special ability for Kirby. But yeah, hopefully that's helped you guys. I'm sorry if it was a little bit confusing, if it was. This is my first time making a video like this, so hopefully I'll be able to improve with every video. Let me know what you think as well. If there is anything you'd like to know specifically, I can see if I can make that video for you. Yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed the video and it's been helpful for you. I suppose it might be worth letting you know that I am using Paint Tool Side 2, so if you are a digital artist yourself and you're wondering what kind of software I use for my drawings, that's what I use. It's Paint Tool Side 2. I also use a Wacom HD13 Cintiq for my work. You don't need a Cintiq, I will say, to do digital art, because for the longest time I've been using a Wacom Intuos 4, in fact a Bamboo at one point in my life. That was my very first proper tablet. Like, I've used a plastic slab tablet for a very, very long time without a screen. It was only until I went to uni, in fact, that things changed and I managed to get myself a really cool Cintiq that's helped me out and has, if anything, it speeds up the work process, if anything. But yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling because it is the end of the video now. I hope that this has been helpful for you guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye guys, see you later.